Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 5, season 2 of the VIP Collective. I am your host, Carmen McDonald, and on today's episode, my guest is Carmen Luk, owner and lead planner of Devoted to You. Now, Carmen brings her advice to the VIP Collective about wedding timelines and how to get things back on track if it shifts. She also divulges her secrets of what is in her wedding planning kit. So buckle up and let's go, because this is my conversation with Carmen Luk. We're ready to roll?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Shall we do this?
Let's do this.
Let's chat. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to have you in today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited too.
So we'll do a little intro so everybody knows, for those who are listening who may not be watching, who we're sitting with. So we are sitting with Carmen Luk from Devoted to You Planning.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Say hello to the audience.
Hello.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of like when you started and how you got into your own business doing wedding planning?
So I started in this business 10 years ago. I went to school studying engineering, something completely different.
Whoa.
I was doing was a project manager at the time. And so I met my husband. He was the original founder of the company with two other founders. And at the time, one of the founder retired and she wanted to move on to something else. And that was the opportunity for me to start assisting in the business. Mm-hmm. And then that's how I got started.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
So then you started assisting in the business, and then what kind of happened after that?
So the other founder, she decided to, leave and start her own venture. And so I was left with the business. I'm like, okay, what should I do? Like, it took a long time to kind of really start and get the business. Mm-hmm. And so the company was originally founded in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Devoted to You was founded in 2006.
I joined 2009.
Okay.
And then we did our whole rebranding 2010, 2011.
To kind of make it your own and put your own statement on it.
Yeah.
So then what kind of role does your husband play in this? Because if he was one of the founders, like, let's go back here.
He was, at the time he finished his graduate program, and his two friends were emailing everybody like, oh, we want to be wedding assistants. And so he saw the opportunity. Right. He really wanted to start a business, but with family responsibilities, it's something that he can't just quit his job and be a business owner. So he saw that. I'm like, oh, it's fun to put something together. And so he helped doing some of the branding and building like the website and administration, like basically setting up the business, while the other two founders can focus on getting the clients, planning the wedding.
Right.
So fun fact is he planned our wedding.
Really?
I did not.
So what I know is that your wedding was in Italy.
Yes.
And shot by someone that I know as well, which is Conrad.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful video.
Thank you.
So he planned the wedding.
He planned majority of the wedding.
Were you planning at that point? When did you get married?
I was planning client's wedding. I was assisting.
Yeah.
But I was also studying at the time and working full time. And so if he sees this video, he's gonna like, why you say something bad about me? But he was a groomzilla. He was a groomzilla.
It's out. We now know.
No, he scaled back. He's not a groomzilla. If we were to renew our vows or whatever today, like, he's not a groomzilla anymore.
Right.
But back then, he is very particular about the things that he wanted. Yeah.
Well, fair enough. I think that happens probably with a lot of couples and planners too, right?
Yeah, I think at that time, I kind of have a big vision of what I wanted, but then I don't want, like, there's a lot of things I wanted, but financially your budget capped at some point, and like, I just don't want to deal with it. Right.
Have you had like an adventurous couple who's done anything kind of outside of the box?
Outside of the box.
Well, I did
outside of the box. We did a wedding at the AGO. It was a really fun wedding.
Yeah.
Like the groom, I wouldn't say it was outside of the box, but he was very particular. He's like one of the, has a strong vision. He planned most of the wedding, and the bride only, had feedback or like manage a certain areas. Like she's a teacher and she really wanted, things that reflect that she's a teacher, so stationery and whatnot. So those are the, and photo booth, those are the key things that she really cared about.
Okay.
But everything else was managed by the groom. So we had a singer flew in from San Diego.
Oh, wow.
We had a really good DJ, and we also have a band.
Okay. Was that like a full year planning with that couple?
Yeah,
or?
that was a little over a year, and they don't live in Toronto.
Now or then?
Then.
Or both?
Both.
Oh, they didn't live here when they were
They
doing
used to live in Toronto. They went to school in Toronto, but
Okay.
they don't live in Toronto anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do people who don't, and I wonder this quite a bit. So how do people who don't live in Toronto find you or find other people in the industry? Is it coming through
Google?
referrals?
It's mostly Google, Instagram, maybe Wedding Wire. Or
Are you doing anything SEO wise that advertises to the States?
not particularly to the States, but just like in Toronto, like if you search for like Toronto wedding planner,
Right.
like trying to like stay, keep up with the SEO for wedding planners in Toronto. So if anybody's searching for someone in Toronto, like hopefully my name shows up, first or second page.
Right. And so you're mostly Toronto, or do you go?
I do destinations.
You do destinations.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's one of the best ones you feel you've been to yet this far?
Like because I got married in Italy, so Italy always has a special spot in my heart, and always want to go back. So I did a few weddings in Italy. I did one in Bali. I did one in Phuket. So
Where's Phuket?
Phuket is in Thailand.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Bali.
Yes.
That's so nice. Is it hard to plan this, like,
Um,
from afar?
It's double to triple amount of the work because of time zone differences, the way like different culture people respond. Like I think we're very, very fast in the response in North America compared to some other areas, like Caribbeans. Like it takes them forever.
Yeah.
To respond.
Island time.
Island time, and if you work with resorts, they don't talk to you until like 3 months before the wedding to actually start the planning.
Wow. So there's an element of challenge that's added to anything like
Yeah.
that. And then especially those destinations, you'd be looking at like 12 hours probably time difference or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
like
so,
Asia is 12 hours.
Yeah. So you're doing like midnight phone calls or something.
Yeah, like I'm a
Potentially.
night owl.
You are?
I'm a night owl, so it works.
So I wanted to chat a little bit with you about organization. Are there any programs that you're using right now that kind of help you with your organization and stuff like that?
Google.
Like Google Sheets or Google
Sheets.
Drive?
Well, always been using spreadsheets and Word document, but
Yeah.
I think over the past year, I've been migrating most of my stuff on Google because it's convenient. It's, you can access it anywhere, and most of my clients have a Google account.
Right.
So, like, I thought about creating like a portal for clients to log in. Actually, I did remember I lost a client because of like I don't have my own portal, but
Right.
it's just that you don't want an extra username and password to remember, and it's convenience is key. Like where like you can access your wedding documents anywhere, anytime.
Through your Google account.
Yeah, like Google Drive and emails, like all tied together.
Okay. So if you're working with a client, they have access to all the files anytime they want to pop on, and anytime you're making updates, they can go on and just see.
If we go on a phone call together, like we can like update it simultaneously and have a discussion on
If you have a wedding day and it starts to shift the timing, so like let's say it's 30 minutes behind, which on average happens.
I think 30 minutes is still reasonable.
For sure, reasonable. But like when we start getting into like 45 minutes, or people get in 40 minutes late or 45 minutes late into the hall, we're talking mostly reception, not ceremony. But like, what are the steps to bring the wedding back up to speed? Like at what point, who are you talking to at what point to make things kind of move?
Okay, so first of all, I have to see what time the video and photography team ends. I think that is really important to see. Like, okay, if they end before all the program finish, I have to have a talk with my client and say, hey, like it's running behind, and you may have to pay for overtime, otherwise you're gonna lose some of the coverage. I think those are the first, because it's also affect their financials. Like I need to get their approval.
Right.
And number two is, most of the time I find reception run over time is because of all the speeches. Like I've been telling people like keep it to 5 minutes, and nobody listened. Or there's like ad hoc speeches that go on for 20 minutes.
Right.
And those are things that I cannot control, but I have to deal with when it happens.
Yeah.
And so and it also depends on how many guests are there at the reception, because I remember for one wedding we were behind because the speeches were really long. Mm-hmm. And there were even like slideshows going along with the speech, and the brother of the groom was rumbling, and it's like 10 minutes still talking.
Right.
Another 5 minutes still talking, and there's 300 people to serve.
Wow.
So we usually stop service during speeches because we need to respect the speaker. But when that happens, then we'll go and check with the couple and like, hey, do you think we can have the service still going on? Because otherwise, like, an hour delay becomes an hour and a half, and could be 2 hours delay, and you don't get to enjoy dancing at the party as much.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that working with the kitchen to say like, you guys are going to have to serve during speeches.
I have to get the client's approval first, because usually we don't serve during, like, it's just a respect, there's a lot of sound, of noise when there's service going, like plating or clearing, there's like clink, clunk, clunk.
I know we hear it in the audio. I'll hear a fork in the audio, and I'm like,
right?
So sound effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I think it's getting their buy-in to say, hey, like we'll continue, because otherwise like they're going to be paying a lot extra for overtime.
Yeah, that's the thing. It kind of runs into like you might be an hour behind, and then we're like photo or video may be scheduled to leave at 10. But like there's no way things are being finished at 10. So then it gets into that gray area of like you have to talk to the couples and say, now we're facing, potential overtime.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
Can we back-to-back some speeches or have service during speeches to try and speed this up a little bit?
Yep.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shifting. Do you feel like it shifts quite a bit? Like, I know the idea is to keep it on time, but like, do you feel like every reception...
I would shift things around if, knowing how the service is going that night, and work with the MC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if the MC is the professional MC, usually there isn't any problem, but sometimes couples have their friends as MC and they're not comfortable doing ad hoc announcements. I'm like, so do you want me to make the announcement for you?
Yeah.
It'll look a little odd, but
but I'll do it.
If you're not comfortable, like someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Like, for say, facilitating some games or making some announcements. And
I feel like there have been a lot of time limits on speeches recently. A lot of jokes are always made saying like, okay, we're keeping this under 4 minutes, or I have a 3 minute.
That's like the rule of thumb. They will always tell the client, hey, can you tell them please keep it like 3 to 5 minutes max? I mean, I've been like this year's weddings, like all the speeches are really good. Like I have to say, I really enjoyed them. Some of them could be like, very long-winded and boring, but this year I heard a lot of really great speeches, but they're like, some of them are over 5 minutes, but if the wedding party is small, like the guest count is smaller, I think the whole overall service will take less time, and even if we're delayed, there's more opportunities to bring things back on schedule versus we have a 300 guest wedding.
Yeah.
And then like it's going to take at least 15 minutes to serve 30 tables, right?
Yeah.
And then have them eat and then clear, and so you got to time it really well. And I find it's more challenging when there's live bands, because usually bands play by sets. They don't play by song like a DJ where you can fade out. So have to like work, like not only working with the kitchen, but also working with the band too, to tell them, hey, like we need to like, cut your set shorter, and to kind of move the speeches up or move things around.
So did you have somebody on your wedding day? Did you have like a full reception with dancing?
I didn't have dancing in Italy, but we had a reception in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
With like our family and friends. It was a big reception with like 350 guests.
Did you have somebody helping you that day, or were
yes.
you were,
But one of the former founders, they were assisting that day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about your packages. I know you offer a few different packages.
Yes.
And then I also want to know a little bit about the proposal stuff that you've been doing.
Yes.
So what do you offer right now for planning packages?
For planning, I do month off, been scaling down a month off. Partial planning and full service planning. So that includes like design and
month off. would I contact you 3 months before? How?
I book my month of clients anytime, I think up to a year before, or maybe a little more than a year, depending on like how my booking looks, you know, because every year is different, and the outlook could shift, you know, year by year.
Right.
Also depends on the venue as well. But my approach is, I think over the years, I try to take a more hands-on approach and rather like offer the service to like help them build their wedding day logistics and the flow in advance than to fix problems like 6 to 8 weeks before the wedding.
Right.
So that's kind of my approach, because it's most of the cases, like if a couple doesn't have like a planner or coordinator, like they will rely on the photographer for you know, how much time do I need for this and that, and like the photographer kind of became the planner and kind of create a schedule for them, or they don't, or they're at the point where they don't know how many hours of like photography or videography service they need to book, or how their day would look like. I'd rather have the control and guide them through the process than fixing their problems like, you know, a few weeks before the wedding.
Right. Like, oh, you've booked 8 hours, you actually need at least 10 to get a couple hours for family photos. That kind of thing.
Like say, oh, you need a minimum 8, but like 10 is, you know, more than enough kind of thing, and how like what time like the makeup should start, what time the ceremony would be, and like have enough buffer between events.
I feel like buffer is the key word that needs to be exaggerated here, because you always just need a buffer window.
Yes, or even just time to breathe. Like, okay, bride and groom, like, you know, you say your vows to each other, you're a married couple, and you want that quiet moment, you just to like enjoy yourselves before you kind of mingle with your guests, I think. Yeah,
exactly. A little moment, a little something for yourself, because it is for you this whole day, right?
Yeah, because I find like a lot of the times, if like you pay a deposit to a vendor and then it's harder to change, say the start time, or they have other bookings, you can't really easily, you know, readjust things. Say like makeup, and you know, makeup artists tend to, they may take multiple bookings a day,
right?
And so if they have another booking after yours, and you can't delay the start time because, oh no, I don't need to wake up as early.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we start, you know, helping couples to think ahead.
Do you find that you work with the photographer when you're doing the timeline, or do you mostly do the timeline and then send the photographer?
Do the timeline and also like ask for input, and like, hey, because everyone's style is different, and some photographer may say, oh, I like black and white in their contracts, like I need this creative amount of time, or versus some others that don't emphasize that, but I would still reach out and say, hey, how much time do you need for bride and groom sessions? Like, I respect that, and and it also reflects in my portfolio if, you know, good pictures are taken. Want to make sure like my couples get, you know, beautiful photos, because when, you know, photographer and videographer, they work under pressure, like, and you know, like if you have very little time to get a lot of creative stuff done, like it may not always, like it's stressful, right?
Yeah, and there's definitely, and I think there's probably a buffer there as well in the photo window, where sometimes we have an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's
ideal.
Which is ideal and rare. And sometimes it's 40 minutes. And it just, I think it depends on traveling. So if a couple wants to, in your experience, if a couple wants to go from, let's say, Woodbridge to downtown Toronto to take photos at a specific location, let's say Hart House or something, U of T, and then they want to travel back to Woodbridge for their reception. I would say no. What do you advise?
I would say no. Well, okay. Well, number one, this transportation, like they need to, that's going to back and forth like 3 hours. And you don't want to spend like 3 hours on the road. Honestly, on the wedding day, there could be other like locations for photos in Woodbridge.
Yep.
I mean, there isn't too much. I mean, there's still some nice outdoor.
There's secret nooks and things if you just do some research, I think.
Yeah, but like spending 3 hours on the road just for photos and downtown and back, I find like it's stressful for the couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money spent not wisely. Like your transportation, and then 3 hours of you could take more photos. Some
you could be taking photos
elsewhere,
and be with your family who may have come in from town.
Exactly, and that that downtown location could be your engagement shoot location.
Yeah. So it's more recommended if you're going to do your wedding and your ceremony and reception in a location.
Try to stick around the area or on the way. Like if you have your downtown ceremony and you have to be at Woodbridge for your reception, like find something on the way.
Right.
Yeah.
On the way.
Not detour.
Right. Not going elsewhere.
Because weekend traffic, a lot of weekend drivers.
I know. And you never know, things happen.
Or games. Like there's if there's games like Jays games, like Raptors games,
Yep. 4 p.m. finish of a Jays game, trying to get on the Gardner and come up to somewhere else could be a challenge.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that travel time is something that I think a lot of people need to think about.
about like 15 minutes on top of what Google Maps says.
Yeah.
When I plan, the travel time, but you never know.
It's very true. Because we've done a few where it's been a good 45-minute drive to photo location and then back to the place for the reception, and it does eat up a lot of time. So I was just always curious if they ask you for advice on that.
Yeah, or unless there's like a very special location and
right, that's where they met or something like that.
And then we'll try to make it work, but usually I don't recommend it.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. So talk to me a little bit about like design of the wedding. Are you involved in a lot of the design aspects of the wedding, or are you working?
I help conceptualize, based on the client's input, pictures they sent me. I have a questionnaire for them to tell me about themselves, what they like, how they met, where they shop, just to get to know them a little better and kind of pick out things that can personalize for their wedding. And then I start putting together like a mood board, but I work with the creative partners, like vendors, to take that idea to the next level. During the process of shopping around, every different vendors have different ideas, and it's up to the couple to decide who they want to work with and who can bring out those elements.
Right. So you kind of have your people that you work with the most, probably, that you kind of say, depending on what you're looking for, these might be the right people.
I find there's also a lot of new vendors in the industry, up and coming, and open to work with. There's new chemistry.
Oh, cool. Where do you meet the new chemistry? Where are you meeting people?
Sometimes at industry events, sometimes just on Instagram, or planner friends that have used them and the work seems great, and what's I would ask around hey, do you like their style? Do you like their work? Pricing, just to get an idea. Yeah.
Do they reach out to you over Instagram? Some people.
I people reach out to me, but I also reach out to them when I see interesting stuff and just say hi. And
it's fun to be able to do that and just get that instant connection with somebody.
Yeah.
It's almost better than email sometimes, although sometimes on Instagram it gets hidden if you may not be following each other.
Yes. I find and then days after I'm oh, I missed some messages.
Yeah. I was there's 4 messages from a week ago.
Or sometimes I got inquiries and I missed it because I wasn't checking those hidden messages.
The hidden messages. There's got to be a way. This, more of an alert that gives you, because if you miss it, then who knows when you'll see it.
Yeah.
And it could be business. And I think that's why a lot of people put no DMs in their profiles, because they probably have missed a bunch.
Yeah. And I find Instagram, it uses a lot of my cell phone data.
Right.
So sometimes I'm very cautious about not
good for you for thinking of that. I don't,
because sometimes when you look at stories, you just kind of stream and you just don't just keep looking, and you didn't realize how much data you use, and you need them on your wedding days, especially in the summertime.
Very true. Yeah. And if you're using your GPS, things like that.
Oh yeah.
Circling back to your packages, because there was one that I wanted to touch on, which is your proposal packages.
Yes.
So proposals, is this a big thing now? People or men doing planned proposals?
I got more and more inquiries, but I think men in general, they don't understand how much things cost.
Fair. Yeah.
I did have
this world. In this wedding world.
Wedding world, decor, how much you need to spend for having a proposal, like having the professionals doing it for you, like all the orchestration, planning, designing. Yeah.
So what's kind of it? So if I'm a groom, I call you up. How are you marketing that?
Hashtags.
Like, is it through Instagram the men are finding you?
Yeah, Instagram. But I got emails. Like I usually they email me, but like maybe from my blog. I don't know. Like I haven't really been actively promoting, but I do get increase maybe from like my blog or pictures that have been posted on Instagram.
So what's one of your favorite ones to date?
Oh my God.
Tell me.
That one was like the dream of like...
Eagle's Nest.
Yes, that one. Yeah, I had a month to put that together. Okay. So when the client first reached out to me, he was like, oh, I wanted to propose to my girlfriend, and I don't know if I should propose in Toronto or in Greece. So I was actually researching for both options at the time, because they were planning to go. They were going to Mykonos in Greece for their vacation.
Beautiful.
I reached out to some planners there to assist, or maybe trying to figure out my schedule, whether I can go myself. But like their response time is slow.
In Greece.
In Greece, island time.
Yeah,
island time. Like, you know, it's
siesta. Don't they have
a few days to get back to me, and it doesn't seem possible. I think it could be doable, but it's just not confident enough to say, hey, let's do it in Greece. And he kind of felt that, oh, it's probably better to do it in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So when we decided to do it in Toronto, we want to make it wow. But that was one of the busiest time in Toronto, because it was around TIFF.
Oh, okay.
It's around TIFF. Like, everyone's busy.
Yeah, September.
All the furniture rental companies are so busy.
September's probably... And maybe you can speak to this more, but do you agree it's one of the busier months for wedding?
For weddings? Yeah, I would think so.
Right?
Every year's different. Like, my September past few years were really busy. Mm-hmm. Like, now it kind of shifted to August. Yeah, August seemed to be like the most popular month. August or June, most popular months. But yeah, September, because of TIFF, like, everyone's busy. Like, we had to rent a few, like, lounge furniture. It was, very hard to get.
So what was the idea behind the proposal? Was it just him? Was it family? What happened?
It's just him. Their families are in Vancouver and China, I think. Yeah. And he just wanted to wow her. And she is a YouTuber. Like, she has her own channel.
Yep.
And, she's a vlogger.
Okay.
So he wants to impress her. So we're thinking, like, okay, well, most of the places downtown, it's going to be booked by TIFF, and he wanted fireworks to wow her. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have to think outside the box, have to move it to like suburbs. Mm-hmm. So the plan we decided with is they're going to take they took the helicopter and flew to Eagle's Nest.
From Toronto, like from downtown?
From downtown.
Okay.
And then, he brought her down to the lower terrace, and he popped the question, and then we had fireworks going.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did he tell her they were doing?
He just told her, we're just going, like, let's go for like an early dinner and just...
a casual helicopter ride.
Yeah.
As you do. Like, she must have been like...
I think she figured it out.
Unless they're taking helicopters all the time, and then it wouldn't matter, but... That's fun.
And then we had the photography and video crew, like...
Was everyone hiding?
Hiding. Okay. But I don't know if she actually noticed, because one of the videographer had to mic up the client.
Right.
It was, a photography and video team that I work closely with, so, like, I know, the people that are, going to be at the airport, and just, like, text them, like, hey, what's going on there?
Right.
And it was a little awkward with the pilot, like, because he was waiting for, the departure time to get on this. We have to, like, with helicopter, I think certain size of helicopter, you can only fly before sunset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like, we're waiting for, like, perfect timing when they arrive, and, like, it's dark enough to see...
The candles
and the fireworks.
And it was September, so it would have been like 8 p.m., 9?
7 something.
Yeah,
7 something. Yeah, because they have to depart before it's really dark.
Oh, I see.
It's like only a 15-minute ride.
I was going to say, how long is it from...
15.
Because Eagle's Nest is actually, like, it's north of Dufferin. So it's quite far up there if you're driving.
But like
But flying is
15.
like pretty fast.
Yeah.
So they landed on the helipad, which
Yes.
when we shot Ashley and Lee's wedding, we were at Eagle's Nest and we were up on the
then they
helipad.
took a golf cart.
And they took a golf cart down.
them down,
And
yeah.
then it was all lit with with golf. It was all lit with candles.
Yes, and like have flowers. There was have like a couch and like have a really beautiful like mirror signage with a poem on it. And
So did the photo and video get to fly there as well? Or they had to get
it
in
was
the car?
a surprise. No, yeah. Oh, so we had the second shooter at the island like airport.
So okay, so
and
everyone
then
was
the lead photographer and videographer like at Eagle's Nest.
at Eagle's Nest, and so they had another part of their team down there
Yeah.
doing that. Okay, that makes sense because I was gonna say, how would they beat the
No,
helicopter?
they won't be able to make it there.
Like Fast
they
and the
couldn't
Furious.
fly them because she would know.
Yeah, it'd be Fast and the Furious through the streets of Dufferin, trying to get up there for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other proposals have you worked on since?
I did a surprise like 10th anniversary at Niagara, working with a company in Europe, and they outsourced it to me. It was a very short notice surprise.
Yeah.
I think it was done. It was pulled together in like 4 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then I did another proposal at Hotel X this summer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm shooting there next year. Haven't been yet.
It's a nice property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like there's lots of natural light, which is
Yes.
always key.
Nice view.
Nice view. It looks like that. What's like a one key piece of advice you would advise?
Stick to your priorities. I think it's very important. I find couples sometimes like they see a lot of photos on Instagram and like, oh, this is what I want, but you have to be realistic with your budget. Like I don't recommend people spending, and put themselves in debt for one day, but it has to be tasteful to kind of like your lifetime celebration, because I always think that like after you got married, it's not about you anymore, it's about your kids. So
Right.
that's like that one day that you're throwing a party for yourself
True.
and having all your loved ones celebrating with you. So I think sticking to your budget, or maybe make some little sacrifices to get something that you really want. It's almost like buying a house, and then you need a down payment, you need to save up to get the dream house that you really wanted. But, it's the same as weddings. Like it's a big amount of money that you're spending on one day, and if there's certain things that you don't want to give up, then maybe make some personal little sacrifices.
Right. Because that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, like I think it's just knowing your values, what you prioritize, and kind of stick to it. And
How often do you get somebody who says, okay, my budget is, let's say, $75,000, and they need to go over by $20,000? Is that
normal?
Is that a normal case?
I think it, again, back to expectations, right?
Yeah.
Like you can get a decent average wedding. Like don't compare to what you see on Instagram, because sometimes like when everything adds up, like chair rentals, you get like more flowers, you have a really really good photographer, it all adds up, and your venue costs like at least maybe like half of your budget. So I think choosing what are the most important things to you. Transportation, if you get ready at the same location, try to stick, like you save money on transportation. Just be mindful of what you're spending, like what your priorities are.
Right. Good thinking. We had a bride last weekend. Their transportation didn't show up to get from the salon to the hotel. Just didn't show up. So she's like, Uber.
Well, Uber is
took an
easy.
Uber.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people like to use Uber. Like, I mean, yes, it's very convenient, but sometimes like you don't know how clean the car is, and you don't want your dress to be stained or like ripped, or who knows.
Unless it's maybe at the end of the night. When
or
it
like
doesn't
Uber
matter
Black,
at that point.
maybe like better
Uber Black,
quality.
get a little fancy in there. But she wasn't dressed at that point, so she was just at the salon getting her hair and makeup done, and then I guess had arranged for transportation, but they didn't show up. So she was like, "Well, I'm not even in my dress. Let's just get in an Uber, whatever gets faster," because she didn't want to lose time.
Of course.
So that's kind of what happened in that situation, which maybe, and again, the transportation costs. Hopefully, she got that money back, but at the same time, she was able to just jump in like probably a $10 Uber.
Whatever works at the
Whatever
moment.
works. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and so for any planners who are new into the industry, what kind of advice do you give to them? What's a piece of advice that you may have picked up on in the last 10 years that sticks with you?
Well, I think get as much exposure as you can and shadow different areas of the business. I find it very important to understand why certain vendors charge a certain pricing, or like why that, how, that, say, photographer, how they work, and understand a little better so you can sell it to your clients. Like,
Right.
you need to convince them why you need to spend this amount of money for that. And for brides and grooms, they only get married once, hopefully, and they probably have never done it, done wedding planning in the past, and they look at you to help them with, give them guidance, like what I should be doing, like who should I hire, but why are they charging this price? Like, can you get something less? Can you find a $2,000 photographer? I'm like, maybe, but the quality of the photos may not be what you're looking for.
So it's the education part on why vendors charge what they charge in the industry.
Yeah.
Because of...
And how they work, and how you can
they
help
work.
them work better on the wedding day.
Right.
Yeah.
That is a hot tip. I think that's really important because that happens a lot in video too, where people say, well, this person's third of the cost. And it just completely depends on how the people work and also the end product that you
or understanding
receive.
like different areas, work processes, just to like help you be a better planner and know at what point you need to do certain tasks, or
Yeah.
yeah.
And probably a little networking thrown in there.
Oh yes, too. That too. I find like I'm always curious how other people, like how they work or their work processes, and I'm a very hands-on person on the day of the wedding. Like, sometimes I could have asked my team to do it, but I still okay, let me do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Sleeves up.
Yeah, like I think the company name is kind of my mantra. So like I'm very dedicated to my clients, and I don't sit and wait to get somebody to do stuff. Like, if I see something that doesn't look right to me, I'll just like do it.
Just do it and get it fixed.
Yeah.
How many girls do you have in your team?
The size is growing and changing. Like, I know some kind of like graduated and started their own business, and I kind of bring in new hires too. So I have like 3 to 4 girls right now assisting.
Amazing. So how many would you have on a wedding day?
Minimum 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So including myself, minimum 2 to 3.
Yeah.
I find 2 is the minimum, and depending on how busy the day is or how big the venue is, how many guests there are, and that's kind of like how I price as well. Because if, say, you're at a venue, even though your wedding is like under 100 guests, but like you have like 3 different event spaces that need coverage. Like, I probably need like 3 staff together just to make sure there's enough coverage. Because I think earlier in the days when I always only bring one assistant, and I find like, I spend so much time walking back and forth, not getting things done.
Right.
I'm like, I should hire a runner just to like, there's an extra pair of hands. They don't need to stay for the whole day, but at least it helped me be more efficient
And be more focused on what you need to do.
Yeah. But I find like, just having more staffing to help makes it more efficient. Depending on what's happening, how many events that day, how many guests I need to look after,
And how many locations? Because
how many locations or how many event spaces. Like, it's just like when I think about it, like, why am I wasting most of my time running back and forth between the 2 rooms, and like where I could have like one person stationed there would just communicate over like phone or WhatsApp, like chat, and have coverage there while I can focus on something more important.
Yeah, I think that's the thing now, is how can you best use your time?
Or how can you be more efficient?
Yeah, more efficient. And sometimes that means bringing in some other people, extra hands on deck.
Yes.
To help.
Yes. Especially when they have like assigned seatings. Like I find some couples like to do not assigned tables, but assigned guests by seat. And you need to do like
where they actually have
their names. So that takes a lot of time.
Right, because you have to double check that everybody's
Yeah.
in the right spot.
Yes.
Oh. How long would it take to put down 300 guest
I
seating?
didn't really count. Like whenever the room is ready,
Yeah.
we will do it. But there's also preparation work that we do ahead of time if it's not sorted. Like some stationery companies are really good, and when we give them the list, and like can you like and they print the seating cards for us, they sort it for us. I'm like, oh
Based
my
on
God.
table.
Based
it'd
on
be
tables.
like,
I'm like, oh my God, that saved me so much time. But then
instead of alphabetical, which may happen.
yeah,
Right.
so it really
That's another hot tip.
I know.
I like that because that's something that I think other stationery companies should know if that's something that helps
Yeah,
you
like
guys.
I was so impressed by this company. I've been like working with them for like quite some time, and they really made my day easier. By the way, it's already sorted by tables. I'm like, yay!
Wow.
Like I think to sort them through, like I could have done that the night before. Maybe take me maybe an hour. Just to go through, like, depending on number of guests and making sure, like, okay, because I have to sort by table and sort by seat number too, not just by tables. But,
Right.
yeah,
And that's an hour you're probably doing something else the night before.
like prepping for
Wow.
the day off. I always like to pocket size everything on the wedding day.
I've seen you do this on Instagram, and I think you're the only one I've seen do this. But yeah, like little pocket.
Pocket size, yeah. So I think over the years I've changed my emergency kit, like the bag that I use.
Yeah.
I find what's really helpful is having like a fanny pack or like a small purse, but with like pocket size item. And I like to print my wedding day schedule like this small. And I'll try to wear things with pockets.
Yeah.
So I can just shove it in my phone. I just shove it in. I don't have to worry about like losing it. I bring a smaller wallet or just like a card holder, like credit card holder on the wedding day. So like that takes less space in my purse, and I can put like other stuff in there. And then I have a big emergency kit one for stuff that I can just like put my kit somewhere in the room, and I
Right.
can go get it when I need it to.
Because with like if you use a regular clipboard, you have to put it down
I
to do
lose that.
things.
Like I
Right?
lose that all. Like I'm like, where did I put it? Because your mind, like you think about so many things on the wedding day.
Yeah. You're busy. And so
yeah.
if you go to set something down, you
And then where did I
move a box, and then all of a sudden it's like, where did I
not a
put it?
very good like portrait of like, but sometimes you're like, where did I put my clipboard?
Yeah, definitely. And so if you have a pocket size, it's
I
like
just
your
like
phone.
put in my pocket
Then
size.
you're always
yeah.
putting it in your pocket.
I
and you have it
find
on you.
like some people use their phone to like kind of have all their documents, but I just find sometimes you need to like cross things out, and like
Yeah.
it became more
pen to paper.
yeah
I'm that way with to-do lists. Has to be crossed out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like start making these pocket size wedding day schedules.
Okay, really quickly, what is the weirdest thing in your kit
Weirdest thing
that you were like, I never thought I would ever need to have this in my emergency kit?
what did I use recently? Well, I had a screwdriver.
Okay, that's random.
Some multiple different heads. Like,
Yeah.
I always have it with me, but I don't use it often. It's just like, I saw that it was like a few dollars at Dollarama. I picked it up and like, throw it in my kit.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we did a wedding. We had bubble machines, and you need a screwdriver to unscrew to put the batteries in. I'm like, yes,
Yes. I recently bought something from IKEA. It was a light.
Yeah.
And so I got home, and in order to put the batteries in, I had to unscrew it.
Yeah.
I got gypped. I didn't know that.
I was like, oh my God, like that was a lifesaver.
Wow, that's a good one.
And
What
tape, body tape.
Body tape.
Body tape is used almost every single wedding.
For the dress?
For the dress. Like,
Yeah.
or even I just have a roll of tape if someone needs tape. We're just like, okay, I know body tape is a bit more expensive than regular tape, but at least I have something like taped down.
Tied to go?
I have it in my kit, but it's not used that often.
No? That's good.
Yes.
That means there aren't stains happening.
Yeah. Or sometimes when stain happen, you can really use tie to go.
So I was at a wedding, and her dad went to hug her, and when he hugged her, her red wine knocked over and went all over her dress. All over
my
her dress.
goodness.
So they took club soda.
Or white wine. People said white wine can wash it
Maybe they did club soda, and maybe they mixed it with white wine, and they just scrubbed the dress, and it actually, you couldn't see it. Like red wine, that's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yes.
So it worked, but okay. What's one other thing that's in your kit?
There's so many.
Sewing needles?
Sewing needles,
Scissors.
always. Scissors, always.
I always hear a call for scissors.
Scissors, yes, always. Cutting tags or whatnot. I have a small pair in my purse. I have like a small box. I just put like bobby pins, safety pins for corsages or corsage pins. I just have like a small little box with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in there, darling. This has been fun.
Yes, thanks for having me.
You're dropping a lot of hot tips for everybody, which is super good.
Okay.
Well, cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you. All right, guys, that is it for episode number 5, season 2, my conversation with Carmen Luk. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to give us one of these. And you can also hit subscribe so you don't miss next Wednesday's episode. As always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week on the VIP Collective.